Hey guys, how's everyone doing? I hope everybody's doing well. I also hope everybody is having a good Memorial Day weekend. I haven't really done anything this weekend. I went over to my mom's house and my mom and her boyfriend and I just hung out. But, I hope everybody is having a good holiday. Hope everyone's enjoying it and spending time with your friends and family and, maybe having a barbecue. But, today I'm not really doing anything. I didn't have any plans, and I thought that I would go ahead and do another video. And this is actually a video I've been wanting to do for a while. I actually wanted to wait until summer got started for me to do this video. And mostly the reason why is because a lot of the movies I'm talking about in this list are movies that I would watch a lot when I was younger, around the summertime. There were movies that, when I got home from school or when I was just sitting on a hot summer day, I would pop one of these movies in. And, so I thought that now that it's officially summertime, I would go and do it. But this is going to be my top favorite family movies. And I know that I've actually done a couple of videos on my favorite family films in the past. I think I did some of them last year. But I decided I would do it again, do sort of a 2014 version. I would talk about some movies that I didn't talk about, in that series of videos, and as well as some new ones. But these movies are basically movies that I think that every family could sit down and watch. If you're a parent and you want to watch a good movie for your kids, then these are a lot of movies that I think that your kids will enjoy, and you can all sit together and just have fun watching them. And a lot of them are also revolve around summertime, so I think that this is the best time to watch these. And like I said, these are movies that I would watch all the time when I was younger. And these are movies that I have fond memories of. I just have a lot of good memories attached to these films. I'm not going to talk a lot about what the movies are about because I have so many of them. But I am actually planning on starting to do some sort of summer family movie reviews where I will probably take some of these movies out and I'll give them my own reviews, as a way of mixing up my channel so it's not all the same type of film. I will, throughout the summer, do a review of, just a good family movie that I used to enjoy. So without further ado, I want to get into it. The first movie I want to talk about is the one that I've already talked about so many times, and I'm not even going to get into it. It is probably my favorite movie of all time. If you guys have watched my channel for a while, you guys know what movie I'm talking about. But it's, of course, Home Alone. Now, like I said in previous videos that I've done, I absolutely love Home Alone. It's my favorite childhood movie, my favorite Christmas film, and when I was younger, I would just sit around and watch this movie all the time. Even during the summertime, I would sit down and watch it. But Home Alone, to me, it's definitely one of my favorite, probably my favorite movie. I can't really think about any other movie that I love as much as Home Alone. And this is definitely a great one. Home Alone 2, I also love. I absolutely love both of these films, but these are two great, family classic movies, and I'm sure everybody has seen them, but I just had to include them on my list. So Home Alone is definitely my number one, and Home Alone 2 is probably my number two, so there you go. Now the next movie is another film that has Macaulay Culkin in it, but it also stars Dan Aykroyd, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Anna Chlumsky. And Anna Chlumsky in this movie, she absolutely steals the show in this one, but it's My Girl. Now, I think I've talked about this movie once before, and I'm not going to get into it now because this is actually the first movie I do plan on doing a review of when I do my, my favorite family film sort of reviews I'm going to be doing. But, yeah, this is just absolutely great movie. It's also does get really sad near the end of it, and I know that people who have seen this, they probably know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to give anything away. I'm going to be doing a review of this soon, but this is definitely in my top 5 favorite films. Another one of my favorite movies, and probably considered the greatest family movie of all time. And I must say I do agree. I think that this truly is the best family film, but it's of course The Wizard of Oz. What more can you say about this movie that hasn't already been said? It is a timeless film. Its characters are still as great as they were back in 1939. And everybody knows that I love this movie, and I have a huge Wizard of Oz collection, so I do include it. Definitely a family classic right here. Now for another movie that I've talked about before, and my friend Ross, aka RossyBoy19, he's a huge fan of this movie as well as I. We actually read the book in my 7th grade English class. We read the book, and I absolutely loved it. And then we watched the movie, and I loved that. And it's The Outsiders from Francis Ford Coppola. Really great coming-of-age story, about a group of teenagers that don't feel like that they belong in the world, or in some sort of way, and they're always let down by sort of the preppy jock type characters. It's just another really amazing movie. I absolutely love this. I did a review of this a while back, but I do plan on redoing it and doing a more in-depth review of this. But yeah, The Outsiders, one of my favorite movies, and probably my favorite teen novel, in my opinion. Now we got a few movies that I know everybody has seen, but I'm going to go and include them. The first one is Matilda. Now everybody knows this story. Matilda, she lives with her mean parents, and they don't see what a remarkable little girl she is. And she goes to that school with the really mean principal that, locks them into that room called the Chokey. And as she gets older, she finds out she has magical powers and she can make things move. And it's a really good, touching family film. I've actually read the book too, and the book's really, it's nothing compared to the movie, but it's still enjoyable. One thing about this movie I never really got is, during the movie, the scene with the room that the principal puts them in, the Chokey. For some reason, I always thought that was so kind of a messed up thing to put into a children's story, like a room filled with like nails and stuff. I just thought that was really messed up. But yeah, Matilda, always loved this movie. Definitely a great summer movie. This is one good movie to watch during the summer right here. Up next, I'm not going to say anything about this movie because I know it's definitely in everyone's top favorite family films and favorite childhood movies, The Goonies. What more can you say? Now I want to talk about a movie that a lot of people don't really like, and the reason why is, well I'll go and show it off. It's this movie called Leave It to Beaver. And like I said, a lot of people don't really like this one, and the reason why is because it is so different from the TV show. And everybody that has seen this movie have actually grown up probably watching the TV show, if they were around when a TV show came out. But for me, I didn't grow up watching the TV show. I grew up watching this. So when I watched this is the Leave It to Beaver to me. And then as I got older, I started going back and watching, the original show, and I was like, oh yeah, the show, I like the show. I like classic shows like that. But I can see why people don't like this. It's very, very different from the TV show. Especially all the characters are very different. So if you really like the old TV show Leave It to Beaver, you might not like this when you first see it, but I still think it's a good family film, and if you just give it a chance, then I think you'll like it. It's got a Christopher McDonald in it and Janie Turner, so it's got a pretty good cast too as well. I always enjoyed this one. Now here's another movie that I used to watch all the time when I was a kid, and this is one movie that actually got me into really liking baseball, but it's Angels in the Outfield. And it's got a great cast, Danny Glover, Tony Danza, and Christopher Lloyd, who plays the lead, sorry, there's a lot more outside. Christopher Lloyd, who plays the lead angel in this movie. And the story follows this little boy named Roger who lives in a foster home, who's played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And I didn't know that it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt until I got older, and I was like, oh yeah, that's him. But he lives in a foster home, and he wants his family to come back together. And his dad jokes to him, sort of jokes about him, saying, oh well, we'll come back together as a family when the Angels win the pennant. And the baseball team, the Angels, are really bad, and they haven't won a game in years. And so basically Roger basically prays to God and asks him for help, and then the actual angels from heaven come down and starts helping out the team, and they start winning. Yeah, really great movie, very inspirational. I'll probably do a review of this one as well. Another movie that I know everybody has seen, Gremlins. This movie never scared me as a kid, but I always loved little monster movies, and this is definitely probably the best of all the little monster movies. It's one that little kids can enjoy, and then at the same time it's still probably kind of creepy, scary for them. But I've always loved this movie. I've talked about this movie a lot, so I won't get into it anymore. But definitely one of my top 10 favorites. And now I'm going to talk about one of my favorite, probably my favorite John Candy movies, and that is Uncle Buck. I think everybody's seen this. Really funny movie. Uncle Buck is rude and he's crude, and he has to go and help his brother's kids, look after them while his brother and his wife is out of town because his wife's father got sick, and it's just a really funny, really crazy movie. This is definitely my favorite John Candy movie, right behind Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I think I like Uncle Buck and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles both, but yeah. Also, Great Outdoors is also on this one. That's another good one. Up next, we got a Disney movie, George of the Jungle, which stars Brendan Fraser, and this is basically like a live-action version of Tarzan, where George, he's in the jungle and he was raised by apes, and he gets found by humans. Really good one. I might do a review of this, I might not, but yeah, this is one of my favorite live action Disney movies right here, George of the Jungle. Next we have Casper, the movie, which came out in the 90s, and it stars Christina Ricci. She plays the main girl in it, named Kat. And her dad, Bill Pullman, plays this like a ghost sort of a therapist in some sort of way. And they move into this old house, which is where Casper and his his three uncles live. And Casper ends up falling in love with Christina Ricci's character. I remember watching this movie before I even saw any of the old classic Casper cartoons, and I must say it's a really good one. I really like this one. I've always have. Up next we have Jumanji, which was really fun movie. I always loved the whole scenes of the Robin Williams character getting sucked into the game, and all the animals are just running around and just destroying the town. It's a really fun one. I remember seeing this before I knew that there was an actual game, and before I knew that there was a book. But yeah, this is definitely a really good one, and probably my favorite Robin Williams movie. Right next to Mrs. Doubtfire. I'd say that this one and then Mrs. Doubtfire are my two favorite Robin Williams movies. I'm going to try and go a little bit faster. Next one we have Little Giants. I think everybody has seen this one, so I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, this was just a fun kid movie. Bunch of kids that they're really bad at playing football, and so Rick Moranis' character puts together a football team with these kids because he wants to prove his brother, played by Ed O'Neill, wrong. And Ed O'Neill is like this jockey guy who's really great in football. It's really a funny movie. This is one of my favorite kids playing sports movies, right behind The Sandlot. This one and The Sandlot are probably my two favorite ones. Up next I have a movie that's really not, it's not a full family movie, but it's still a pretty fun one, but it's called Mouse Hunt, and this is one I'm probably going to be doing a review of. But basically it stars Nathan Lane and Lee Evans, and they play brothers, and basically the movie, their great uncle dies and leaves them a house, and they end up both moving in it, and they think it's a dump of a house, it's really run down and everything, and there's this little mouse running around, so they're trying to kill it. But as they go on, they find out that the house is actually worth a lot of money, and they want to sell it, and the only way to do that is to kill the mouse. And it's basically this whole movie about the mouse running around and just causing the two guys crazy. Like there's one scene in the movie where they put mouse traps over the room in their house, and they end up getting covered in them. It's a really good one. I'll definitely do a review of this one. Alright, not a lot left. The next one is Homeward Bound. Now I remember when I was younger, I saw this one, which is Homeward Bound 2, before I saw the first one, and I've always enjoyed Homeward Bound 2 over the first one, but I enjoy them. I enjoy them both. You know, it's basically two dogs and a cat. They get lost. In the first one, they got lost in the woods, you know, in which I really liked. But this one, they get lost in San Francisco. Just fun talking animal films. I've really enjoyed them both, but I'd have to say I prefer the second one over the first. Now this one, I have pretty fond memories of this one because back when I was younger, there was this little convenience store right down the street, and they used to have like a couple of tapes for sale, and this was one, I mean for rent, and this was one movie that I rented, but it's The Adventures of Pinocchio, the live action one, with Jonathan Taylor Thomas as Pinocchio, and this was back when he was doing Home Improvement. And this is just a really good adaptation of the story. It's kind of dark, but yeah, one thing I like about this is that it has a holographic cover, and that brings it back because the one that I rented from that store had the holographic cover, and then I ended up buying another edition of it that didn't have it, and so I actually waited. I actually was hoping to find this, and I actually did find it, so now I have two copies of this, one with this cover and one without it, but it's just nostalgia stuff. But yeah, this is a pretty good adaptation of it. It gets kind of I guess a little bit creepy when the bully, you know, he starts turning into a donkey a little bit ways if you know the story of Pinocchio, but it's a good adaptation of it, and I like Jonathan Taylor Thomas. The next one we have is called First Kid, which is basically, First Kid is about the son of the president, and Sinbad is like his bodyguard, and you know, it's just a fun movie, and it's about him, you know, growing up as going through stuff as the president's son. He goes through his first date, his first, you know, dance and stuff, and it's just a good fun one, and it's pretty funny too. Another one that I won't get into because I know everyone has seen, Free Willy. One of the best animal movies, in my opinion. Then we have Dennis the Menace Strikes Again, which was another movie I actually rented. And I've always remembered this one over the first one. I enjoyed them both, but you know, they're based on the classic comic strip. And in this one, at the beginning of it, Dennis accidentally lets all these animals loose in Mr. Wilson's house. And they're both pretty funny movies, but I think I prefer this one over the first one. The first one's got a Christopher Lloyd in it, who I really like, you know, from his character in, you know, Angels in the Outfield and all of his other stuff, but I think I still prefer this one. I got three left. Now this next one is called Tall Tale, which has Patrick Swayze in it, and basically this movie is about this boy named Daniel who ends up you know, his dad owns this farm, and he owes these people a lot of money, and his father keeps telling him these stories about, you know, the Old West, and about, you know, Pecos Bill, and Calamity Jane, and all the classic, you know, Paul Bundy, you know, all the classic old Western characters, and Danny ends up traveling to the Old West and ends up meeting all these characters, and it's a really good fun movie. You know, if you're into like you know, if you're just into like the Old West, this is a pretty good one for, you know, little kids to watch who, you know, they like stuff like this. This is a really good one. I also think this is a pretty underrated movie in my opinion. It's a really good, it's a Disney movie, and I think it's pretty underrated. Two more. Now this next one is another Disney movie, but it's Tom and Huck, and it again stars Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and it's basically based on you know, the adventures of Tom Sawyer. You know, Tom and Huck are both, you know, they're friends, and they end up getting wrapped up. They become witnesses to murder, and the whole movie is them trying to protect one of their friends who ends up getting framed for that murder, and trying to, you know, bring the actual killer to justice. And it's a really, really good one. Brad Renfro also plays Huck in this one. And this is just, like I said, a good adaptation of the story. It does get kind of dark because they show a bit of the murder. Like, the person that dies ends up getting stabbed to death. And it actually shows, it doesn't show it actually happening, but it shows a little bit of a way. and I kind of thought that that was a bit too much for, let's say, younger kids. So I wouldn't recommend this to watch with like really young kids, but it's still a good family one. And the last movie I'm going to talk about is one that I know everybody has seen, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You can't go wrong with this one. But that is just a huge list of my top favorite family movies. I know I've talked about a lot of them, but and there's a lot of other ones that I just didn't include because I feel like that this video has gone on for too long and I just didn't have time for them. But yeah, guys, definitely let me know down below what you guys think about any of these movies, and let me know what are some of your favorite family movies. I would love to know, you know, what movies do you enjoy watching, you know, with your family, or if you have children, what movies do you enjoy sharing with your children? But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Hope everybody has a